Hi again, it's Paco Panda. This time I'm gonna explain how to color with markers. Boom! I have many markers. Nah, I'm not. I've seen many other artists who has really many of these and are more expensive than mine. Right here I have a mix of two brands. I have some few copics, a really expensive brand but a really good one. And the most of my markers are Touch, a Chinese brand, which my camera didn't focus, but man, now you know what's the brand. It is Touch. The important thing is we're gonna work with them no matter which brand of markers you have. This time I'm gonna start from scratch. I don't have any sketch, but what I do have is an idea in my mind. This time it's not a commission, nothing to sell. I don't know. The first thing when I start is a rectangle on my canvas. This way I make my drawing centered and I know my scene will be in the right place on the sheet, instead higher or lower. I want to draw a dog. This is a random scene. It is exclusively to make this video. So I don't know the breed or even the pose. The pose will be spontaneous. But I was thinking for this is a dog who discovered a big bone. In the best sense of the word, of course. This champion will just discover his big prize and he will be really happy for that. Nope, this won't be naughty. It is literal what I'm describing. The point of this video is to explain how to use the marker, so I think I won't explain so much about the drawing. And all this will be a time lapse, I think. The sketch is done. I like it. So I'm gonna start to color this. The moment of truth. To add colors. Something essential at time to work with these colors is to use an extra sheet under our work. If we are working on a notebook, like it's in my case. I use opaline paper for markers. It is not the best for watercolor, but personally I consider it is for markers because it is so thick that it doesn't go to the other side, even in the same sheet. But if we paint in another kind of paper, like this, we can see it goes to the other side. We can ruin even the next page or other sketches if we had drawn them there before. That doesn't happen with the opaline paper, as you can see. Experiences. Sometimes I want to paint randomly with these markers on any paper, and I have had really bad experiences. Something tricky with these colors is the plugs are not indicating the exact tone which it paints. So I use this other sheet to taste colors before applying them on my drawing. You can see the tone on this plug is one, and when I paint it's pretty different. Check the color of this plug, and whoop! It is coffee, but the plug indicators is orange. That's why it is important to have this extra sheet and be testing our colors. Oops, I'm sorry for the noises outside my house. I don't live in a very quiet neighborhood. I was thinking that I want this dog to be an Australian Shepherd. Those that are grey, coffee, and they have white spots. I think it would be really cute. So now I'm testing the exact colors I want to use, and I'm separating them and saving back. This is a clear example about the tricky plugs. This is a blue tone, but no, it is like light gray. See, I'm definitely gonna use this one because even if it's an Australian Shepherd, I want the gray fur to be blue instead. Yes, it's gonna work. Okay. I'm gonna start with this tree. I'm starting with the more contrasting tone. It's not a rule, I just decided to myself to know where exactly the yellowish parts will be. As you can see, I'm painting over the sketch. I don't mind, and I'm not erasing it because I let the sketch on a very clean way. And over the sketch to the end, I'm gonna ink. This is sometimes very important at the time to use these markers. First add all the color with the markers, all flats, shadow, textures, and then the outline. Sometimes even you will decide to ink or not to ink it when you see the result with your marker colors. It is logical to put the outline with ink first and then to fill the color as it would be a coloring book. But the problem with that is the markers make a mixing with the ink and sweep it over your drawing. These markers are easily to be mixed between them and between ink. But putting the ink after the markers makes not combine with each other. So first all the color with markers, then in the end the inking. It's more yellow, this part. And the fur will be blue. Don't hesitate to ask me in my social networks on my galleries if you have more doubts about using markers. Probably I'm gonna miss to explain some things here in this tutorial. Another important thing when you need to fill a big part with a single flat color, attempt to separate it in parts. In a way you are also creating a volume in the character. This is the part of the arm. Because markers makes marks. Sounds redundant, but it's true. Makes a texture in each pass. So take advantage to those marks to create volume on your character. Right here, I'm gonna erase some of the excess pencil in the sketch to clean it even more. So we divide on parts the character, creating the volume, and then to fill in one direction, like the pop band. preferably on the first direction. If we want to fill all the blue color in a single time, we'll turn maybe ugly. So it is recommended to divide those big areas of the same tone. The tail is gonna be even blue. Now I'm gonna use a copic. I like this blue copic for this. What I like from copics is the fine point, that it's like a brush. Personally, I feel it more comfortable to work with this. It makes me feel that I'm working with watercolors. Sadly, copic markers are more expensive by a lot of difference. For all the character, I'm only using the thinnest point in the markers. Remember, this marker have 2 points, a thinnest and a thicker. Because in the character I'm detailing, the character I'm only using, in this case, the fine point, the thinner. Okay, this pink is gonna be for the paw pads, because I love paw pads. You know that I always attempt to showing the characters the paw pads. Uh-oh. I think this was not the correct pink. But I already started with this. I guess it won't look so bad. Not if we use that pink even for the ears. If that contrasting color is used in other spots on the character, even if it's a very visible tone, we are like balancing is to distribute in the character and is not focused on a single point. Time to use another copic. This time is for the bone, because I want to have a yellow bone. Okay, that sounds bad, I think. I need another visual color as the pink to balance even more. So that's why I decided to use this yellow for this bone. I needed another visual color as the pink to balance even more. And this way I'm focusing the scene completely in the face of the character. The most visible part in all this scene will be this bone, the ears, the paw pad, because the colors. With an orange, I'll give volume on this bone. As you can see, it's even quicker to color with markers. Here. It's more fast than coloring with color pencils. And with a darker gray, some shading on the bone. So this way we create a 3D element. I need to apologize again for the noises outside my house. phone is cracked. With a lighter gray, but darker than the blue fur. I'm giving shadows to the character. Those elements that we have on the background of the character. If we paint it darker, we can separate more evidently which paw is in the front and which further away. The light comes from the top. It's a sunny day, probably is noon. It is noon and the victory is already on the side of this body. He's not a specific character. I'm creating him in this moment. So we should name it. What is his name? His name will be Pythagoras. I don't know why. I just thought the name in this moment. But yes, we are painting this little body named Pythagoras. Pythagoras the Australian Shepherd. Also remember to love a lot the character you are drawing or painting in this case. It turns even more special for you. Now with a darker tone, almost black, but still gray, I'm gonna give him some nice marks on this doggo. I think he should have dark ears, because as I'm saying in my reference, I am seeing a reference of this kind of dogs. His ears are black. I can make spots around his body. Oh, here in the eyes, he also needs some balloon. I have here in my side the colors I've used. They are separated, so I'm not losing them. If I would have saved them back to the back with all the rest of the markers, then I may be testing again the tones until I find the right one I was using before. So I always attempt to have them here in my side separated. Keep painting the spots on Pythagoras. So we're turning him into a cow dog. My cow dog. Some spots are pretty irregular. There can be somewhere spots like this one, maybe. Okay, I don't think it looks bad. And if it looks bad, nobody will notice, only me. Spots, spots, spots. More spots. I think here he is. Pythagoras already have spots and he's very well colored. Now it's time to ink him. let's wear the colors I used for this drawing. Were not so many. For ink this drawing, I'll use these pens I bought on America, which has been really good. The brand is Sakura, as the same as this white marker, which I also bought in United States. We have many points here, but I'm gonna use two different numbers, this and this. A rule I apply on my inkings. Remember that rules are for break, so it is not a very strict rule. Is to make more pressure on the perimeter of the character. So we create a thick line on it, unlike internal lines, which are more thin. Are just details like the foot and the ear that I just painted, or the eyes, the nose, and with a lower point I give some little details as the eyebrows. That's in the beauty. Right now I'm painting the perimeter, so this is gonna be a thicker line. And again, I need to apologize my really bad English accent. You have to know it's not my language. My native language is Spanish, because I'm Mexican. Pupils are really delicate. I'm gonna paint the eyebrow, but maybe with this another point, because it's more thinner. And the eyes with the other point. The pupils are really delicate. I consider that in the eyes is where we can see more life in the character. The more alive you see the expression of the eyes, the more alive the character will look. And well, I'm inking all my character. I'm not sure what exactly I can explain about it. So I think there will be another time lapse. Now I want to give more contrasting shadows for the character. Fearless. I'm taking a darker gray because if the scene is in midday or noon, shadows are more contrasting, and this will make look even more interesting our character, emphasizing the volume and the life of it. Never be afraid to add very strong shadows. I promise you won't ruin your drawing. And if you do, there is always a way to fix it. As Bob Ross said, there are happy mistakes. As the same, it was my mistake to use an unexpected contrasting pink for the paw pads. And I found a solution in the end, and I consider it doesn't look bad. Yes, it looks good. With this white pen, I'm giving some bright details here on the bone, on his nose. Remember, the eyes is important to include brights in the pupil. Pupil. A little more on the paw pad, and that's it. Well, what else? I want to create an environment for this puppy, so he's not just floating in the nothing. So let's do a background for him. The most basic is to create a ground. Check this. This is supposed to be a green, but I don't think it's a green. Oh, this is evidently a green. First, I'm trying which would be a perfect green tone for the grass. He needs a ground, so we are not making him float on the white limbo. This time I'm using the thickest tip of the topic, the thickest point, because will be more general elements, are not very specific as we did with the character. With the character I always was using the thinnest tip of the markers, but for the background I consider it's better to use the thickest point. I'm using different shapes of green, so I'm giving more volume to the grass. So this way I'm giving several grounds. And some details like this bigger grass looks nice. Nobody noticed this kind of details, but it's just to have fun, or sometimes to help the composition. But in the end, it's not a big difference. It's just to have fun as artists, to create some little details. Oh, okay. Here I'm being brave, not tasting first the color. But I know this tone is lighter and different than my character. So I know it won't affect to the character. The character is still the main element of this scene. Even more because it is inked. I'm creating some geometric shapes for the mountains. They are not very organic. Are more like, how do you call this, cracks? I'm not completing the whole crack because I don't really want to be more visible than the character. And also the background, they are not important, they are just completing my background and my composition. But with this darker color I'm giving them more volume in some few parts to the cracks. All the time using the thickest tip of the marker because I'm not detailing it so much as I did with my character. What else could be here? Maybe some pines on the top? With this another shape of green. Yeah, some pines on the top. This is an excellent view for a picnic. With a good shadow, an excellent view, an excellent landscape. And then your girlfriend slides by accident, fall the cliff, and the romantic date is over. Trauma for a lifetime. Okay, I don't know what I'm saying, just ignore it. Just ignore me. I think this is all. I like it. Yep, it's done. I like how Pythagoras looks. And I did a very geometric background for honor of Pythagoras. Just a little more green on the mountains, on the bottom of the mountains, just because. And now it's time to clean the sketch. Those little tracks that were not covered completely by the ink or the color. And then a very important thing. My signature. So you can see, I really did this. There is no doubt. And the last point is the date. This is done. I really hope you like it, that you learn a little more of how to use markers thanks to this. Thank you very much for watching.